Good morning everyone from Rome. Today is such a beautiful day. Look at these lovely autumn colors, and I decided to take you to one of the most traditional neighborhoods of the city, very often off the beaten track. What we're going to explore today is the Testaccio neighborhood. It's a neighborhood that was built as we see it in the 1920s. However, there is a lot of ancient Roman stuff all around the neighborhood. Things we're going to see today are all around the neighborhood, so we need to walk a lot. Or you can also decide to come by bike. And guess what? I came here today also because I want to test my new friend. So now helmet on and let's go to our first stop of our tour today. I'm so happy I got this bicycle because I'm always showing you the good sides of Rome, but there's a lot to go crazy about with traffic and parking spaces and so on. So this is the solution to all my problems. So first of all, we need to get onto the Ponte Sublito, the Soblito Bridge. This bridge is the first bridge ever built in ancient Rome. Of course, it didn't look like this, it's been restored, but this is the first one. So now I'm on the Soblito Bridge, and if you look at the bank of the river, you see these ancient ruins, and guess what? This is one of the first harbors of Rome. So this is where the boats will stop in ancient Rome, and this was a kind of a pier where they would offload all the materials from the boats, because right behind there were some warehouses, and guess what? We're going to see them. What you need to know about the Testaccio neighborhood is that it was built in the 1920s, having in mind two kinds of houses. One was the council houses for lower class people, and another one was houses for the office workers, like this one. So that's the house we just saw for the office workers, and right next to it, this is one of the council houses, and there's so many buildings like this. Actually, these were council houses in the 1920s. As far as I know, things have changed a little bit. Some people have bought the houses, and anyway, the prices of these houses are not as low as before, because this area has become kind of central in the city. So we have been to the ancient harbor, and I told you right behind there was a warehouse. This warehouse was massive, so massive that we still have some traces of it. And guess what? They are here. Look at this. This is what I love about Rome. Ancient things popping out of modern buildings. This is what remains of the Porticus Aemilia, this large warehouse from the 2nd century BC. I moved a little bit further. Now I'm going to show you something incredible. You won't believe your eyes. Are you ready? See, in the harbor of ancient Rome, what Romans were importing the most was olive oil, and olive oil was transported into amphoras, terracotta amphoras. These amphoras had a problem. Once you put the olive oil into the amphora is kind of soaked with olive oil, and then it gets rotten, so you cannot reuse them. Imagine that harbor has been used for centuries, so a lot of amphoras came through that harbor. But once the olive oil was used and the amphoras were empty, another problem came up. Where should we dispose of those amphoras? Romans, as always, really practical, did not give up. They decided to break all of those amphoras into equal pieces and to stack them on top of each other, like this. So let's get closer. Look at this. These are real ancient Roman amphoras. They were collected between the 1st century BC to the 3rd century AD, so 4 centuries of amphoras. It's estimated that over 250 millions of amphoras are actually stacked in here, and each one of them with their own stamp of where they were coming from and what good were carrying. So it's a massive archive. In short, we can say this is the first example of recycling in history. Anyways, all of those amphoras through the centuries formed a hill, and this is what we call today Monte dei Cocci, the mountain of the terracotta fragments. The history of this mountain is not over yet, because after the mountain is formed, later in time, people excavated inside and they made storage places, restaurants, and even clubs. Now I'm going to cycle all around the mountain, so I'm going to show you how this looks like today. So I was over there, I cycled all the way up here. This is the mountain. You cannot see very well because there is the vegetation. You see all those buildings, they are all lying on the hill, and most of them are restaurants. This is where the most traditional Roman cuisine was born. Do you know why traditional Roman dishes were born here? Because right next to it was the matadoio, the slaughterhouse, and this is where all the meat was coming. Today the matadoio is not a slaughterhouse anymore, but it's a contemporary art museum. Look at this. This is our restaurant. Then you can kind of see the amphora fragments over here. This place is really quiet, but during the night this place gets really busy. It's one of the the busiest places for nightlife. Here we have one of the clubs, L'Alibi, really popular in Rome. And look at this right behind, all the fragments. From here we have a better view of the hill. You can see the fragments here. Look at the hill, how big it is, entirely made of amphora fragments. It also holds some personal memories because the very first time I've been to a club in my life was actually here. So I was looking for the club where I've been. The club name was ACAB. I can't recall the exact location. It was probably this or that. Anyway, in any case, it doesn't look like the business went really well during the years. Funny because back then I had no clue I was in a club that was built inside a hill made of amphora fragments. We haven't finished yet. Now we are just in front of the Aurelian Walls. I was showing you some days ago, this is basically the greatest monuments still existing today in Rome. It goes all the way around the city. Now we're about to see the last wonder of the day, last but not least. Can you see something behind my shoulders? Like this one? You know, the Rome has also a pyramid. It looks fairly new because it's really well preserved, but actually this pyramid was built in the 1st century AD. But what was it? It was same as the Egyptian pyramids. It was a tomb built by its owner that didn't want to go unnoticed after his death. And later in time it was incorporated, look at this, into the Aurelian Walls. The person that built this tomb made sure his name was clearly visible to everybody that was passing by. Here we can read Caius Cestius, the name of the owner. And he was really clever because he built his tomb right next to, you see here, this is the door of the Aurelian Walls, which are later, but here there was the Via Ostiense, the road that was leading to Ostia, so it was really busy with traffic going from Rome to Ostia. A lot of people were driving here, and this is why he built his tomb here, because he wanted a lot of people to see how powerful and rich he was to afford such a tomb. I think he succeeded because still 2000 years after, today, we are looking at his tomb. Well, the tour is over. I hope you enjoyed it. Now me and my friend have to go back home. Let's see how it goes. Thanks for watching. Ciao!